Going back, as we evaluated the film, looking at the game, like I say, disappointed that we didn't get the results we wanted. Had some things on all three phases, whether you're on offense, defense, or special teams, that we did well, and some things that we have to clean up. And after 2 games a year, it's going to be very important we make those transitions and corrections very quickly if we move on with the rest of our schedule. As you go back through the game, like I said, offensively, I thought we moved the ball well, ran the ball efficiently in the game. Had the 1 third down one that we didn't get done. That disappointing. Scored some points, took advantage of some critical mistakes they had that we were able to capitalize on. Like I say, protection at sometimes, everybody says protection, well, that's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it was the line, but sometimes we have to redirect. We have to redirect the protection and get it slid the other way. That hurts a couple times, and 2 or 3 times we got hot routes, so the ball's got to come out. We were in 5- and 6-man protections, and they're bringing, we got to dump the ball and get it out a little quick. So it's a triple-prong deal there, and how we get that ironed out. And we did as the game went on, and just kept making plays and got better at it, and had some really good plays in the game. Like I said, scored some points, had a chance to even score more points than what we did. Had 2 critical turnovers at some big times in the game. Like I say, we had a nice read and route, and guy just footing went out from under him. And then we had a critical fumble on 3rd and 1 that were both, we were 1-score games that we were driving back to try to get back in the game. Liked us right before half. I had a nice 2-minute drive to get down there to try to get points again before the half, and thought we was going to be able to get a field goal. Had a nice field goal. We missed it, but we got in position to do that. And when we come in and come out the second half and played really well the first drive, wish we got a touchdown. There's a couple drives down there, but we didn't get converted. We had to kick field goals that we need to get some touchdowns in there right there, especially with their scoring touchdowns, and could have stretched the lead a little more. Like I said, special teams-wise, took advantage of 2 critical mistakes. I got a block punt right off the bat, did a really nice job to set up a score there. Got a muff punt that we got down there and got some points off of, did a good job. And unfortunately, the thing, we gave up a kickoff return right after the score, made it 21-20, and we had one guy on the right, just he veered, he read the block and went right, one left, and then the point of attack, Sam, I thought he was going to make the play, and whatever happens there, whatever they call, but at the point of attack, but and they got that out, and that was critical, because otherwise we covered the kickoffs excellent all day, because the first one we splattered one down about the 10 or 12 yard line. Then did a good job kicking the rest of the day in that regard. Punt coverage was really good. Again, got a turnover on that from muff punt down inside the 10 that Coop got on. Did a really nice job on. Unfortunately, missed the field goal. That was a big one, too. We needed that field goal. We could get up 6 and had the ball coming back out. But we covered kicks well and did a good job in that regard. Defensively, played the run well. We knew they were going to try and run the football, played very physical on the run, and tackled on the run at the line of scrimmage. Our D-line, we did a really good job, backers and safeties, and I think they had like 24 carries for 75 yards. Did a good job. But what they did a good job of was maxing up, and we got to find a way to get more pressure on the quarterback. And they max protection, 6, 7-man, and 7-man protected, and chipped and did a good job. And we got to transition from run to pass. As you're some of those play action, when you read run, then you got to transition to pass and get on edges. Not get thick on guys, get on edges on guys to try to create some pass rush. And then we got to play the deep ball. They had a couple deep balls on us, and we got to tackle, and we didn't tackle in space and getting guys in the secondary. We have done a great job all camp in that. We got to do a better job in that. But saying all that, we had chances in the game and had some critical times that we kept battling. We played hard, put ourselves back in the game, and gave us chances. And they made a few more plays than we did. And we got to get better in all those 3 phases and get some things cleaned up and get going to ULM this week, who has a very good team. They're a no-huddle team on offense who goes fast, play a lot of 3 and 4 wides. Receiver's a really good player. 4 is a transfer. The slot receiver can really run. The 2 backs are excellent. They got really good. They do a good job up front. Man, big offensive linemen that maul you. They run the counter in their zone schemes, and they go fast. So getting lined up against them defensively, they're unorthodox. They play a lot of different fronts, mixed guys. Sometimes you'll see one of their backers playing safety. One of them time to be a linebacker. Other time he's on the edge of the ball, mixing coverages, different looks up front, stunt inside a lot, bring a lot of pressures and create double eagle fronts, and how they do and mix their coverages very well. They're 2-0, played well there. Kickoff guy kicks the ball deep out of the end zone. Over 80% of them go out of the end zone. Got a good leg. And what they did there, and the return guys, they got skill. They got good skill. ULM's always had skill. If you go back in the history of them, they've always had good receivers and skill guys that can throw and catch the ball. So, and then the head coach is my old coach, Terry Bowden, who's one heck of a coach, and I know. And So we're going to have to play very well.
Start down front, Brent, and then David.
How much does that impact defensive backs when you're not able to pressure the quarterback? And can that be a quick fix or a fix over a couple of weeks in terms of getting pressure on a quarterback?
It can be. I mean, also from schemes and twist games and rush games. And then also, and when young guys transitioning from run to pass, and what I mean on that is you're in a run look and they give you a run look and you realize it's pass, it's transitioning to the edge and getting that rush. Yes, it can. It can. Right? That can be fixed and can be done well. That's experience, that's coaching, and them guys' recognition, and then getting to that side, because we got some guys that can rush the passer, and we got some interior guys that can rush the passer. And they did a good job of sliding the protection and maxing what we call a slide and a double bump on the edge, that we're slowing it down, and they got some one-on-ones, and it does affect coverage. I mean, you got to get the ball out of their hand, but you also know when you get in certain formations as a DB, you know, too, there's a chance for max those things, so how you got to cover can be a little different, too.
And on the flip side of the ball, same question in terms of the pressure that Connor was under. Can
Well,
there be some quick fixes on that front?
Very much so, and I'll say this, and Connor did a great job, but there's 2 or 3 times he should have slid the front the other way. It wasn't the line. He had to get the Mike declaration to slide the other way, and we slid it the wrong way. There was a couple of those, and then a couple times we had hot routes where guys came unblocked, but we knew that, and he caught him off the backside that he needed to dump the ball out in the flat or a drag or a whatever the hot route was that he didn't pick up, and then we got beat a couple times. I mean, it was a combination of all 3, so it wasn't all in that, because you slide protections based off what you see, and they stemmed, and we had to re-slide, and a couple times we didn't do that.
So is that just experience?
That's experience and knowledge, and we got to make sure, and as a staff, we make sure we get that across to him and get it communicated in the game. And sometimes on the road that can be tougher, but that's part of it. You got to be able to do that. You don't have to do that wherever you go.
Second
Yes, sir.
row right, David.
Jimbo, slipping seemed to be an issue Saturday. What do you think contributed to that?
I don't know, maybe we had the wrong cleats. I don't know. I mean, the middle of the field did slip, but they had the same guys we did. I know Connor did a couple times. Like, he was getting ready to throw, his feet went out from under him, and that happened. What will happen a lot of times when you play at teams that have different logos, in other words, I say multiple teams play at a sport, they change that logo out. Well, when they do that, they change that grass has to be interchanged. So that's usually done on a very quick, and then plus their stadium, those stadiums that have that half, don't get the sunlight to dry out, and then you had the rain, and plus, and you'll wet that part to make that grass take, and it makes that slick, and then you'll paint on the emblem. And when you have to take stadiums, and in my history of it, they always do that, you'll have a lot of that, some of those issues occasionally in that situation, and that seemed to what happened.
Also, follow-up, do you feel you need to find a way to get Anais more action, more
Well,
looks?
we called a lot of balls to him. I mean, we called probably 8 or 10 balls, whether it gets to him or how it does in the read. I mean, you want those guys' touches, without a doubt. Nice has got to touch the ball. And he had plenty of balls that were targeted to him, either they took away or coverage took away or rush or whatever it was. So, and we'll continue to get the ball in his hands. And like I said, we got to continue to play them all. Like I said, we've got a good set of receivers, the 3 that start. And then you got Moose and Jade and all those guys. We got to keep getting them the ball. You know what I mean? And some of those young guys as we get some of them back in the mix. But we got to get them the ball without doubt.
Go second row right, Olin, and then we'll go back behind the lights.
Jimbo, first of all, Anais, you once had him as a running back, and you've talked many times about just what a good football player is. Is there any thought that he could move back to running back just to try to help out on that pass protection and get Moose on the
Well,
field
that
at
had
the
nothing
same
to
time?
do with the pass protection. Had nothing to do with the back. I mean,
Backs don't help
backs
him?
were blocking who they were.
Okay.
Once or twice at the end, the young guy we messed up a couple times, but they've been picking up the right guys and doing the right things in that. I mean, I'm talking about declaration. I had to do a declaration of sliding the front and what you're doing, of your mic declaration.
Okay.
And he can do that. Yeah, he does that every day in practice.
How much, since you've changed some of your own coaching duties, how much input do you put in a week? Do you give to the defense?
Yeah, we talk about what they do defensively quite a bit. Watch film. I just got done watching all their offensive film of ULM, ideas, things I think give them problem, all that. We do it all the time and religiously.
And what would be your evaluation of the job that Durkin is doing?
Did a good job right now. We played the run extremely well, played a great first game. We give up a couple deep ball passes, and we got to get a little more pressure. But DJ's a very good coach. He does a good job and knows what he's doing.
Go back behind the lights on the left, Coach.
Jimbo, how important is it, confidence-wise for the team for coming up against ULM at home to dominate this game defensively, just for them to have that kind of bounce
Well,
back.
I just think you got to play well.
performance?
I mean, you're dominated. You want to dominate every time you play, and every time you go out there as a competitor. That's the eye and win. You got to dominate your position and do it collectively as a unit, and that always helps confidence. But you got to prepare well to be able to go dominate. Don't worry about dominating and playing well until we practice well and continue to do the things in practice that allow us to hopefully dominate a game. You say dominate a game. This team's a good team. Now we don't want to. You want to dominate everybody you play, but that can be tough at times.
Okay, anything else, Tyler? Sorry. Go ahead, Chip.
Jimbo, you've had really good teams that have lost a game early, and you've probably had not so good teams that have lost a game early. What's the difference that you see with those teams, and what does it take to overcome that?
Maturity and recognition of what the problems were and accepting them and then correcting them. You know what I mean? Usually it's self-evaluation that, you don't pointing fingers, you don't panic. You look at why it happened, why it didn't happen, why it did happen, and make sure you fix those things and take them to the practice field, then take them to the game field and what you're trying to do. And I think the maturity of our team, I think, after the game. I mean, we were upset, guys were upset, but they handled it well, they handled it maturely, and I think they've been back asking questions, and nobody missed yesterday, nobody did anything yesterday. They were on time, they did what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. They're up there watching film, they're studying, and from their demeanor and their approach, I think they're doing a really good job of that.
Staying back behind the lights on the right, Ben.
Coach, you mentioned, trying to get better at tackling in space. Curious, in terms of physical reps and what you can do. I know you can't take the guys to the ground every single play in practice.
No,
but
we do.
How do you address that midseason?
You set angles up, you set backs, you got drills where they're closing. I mean, it's thud, hit on the rise. You make them wrap up and wrap their arms and lift guys. I mean, you may not dump them and drive them, but you still hit in what I call thud and wrap up. You know what I mean? And we'll do open field tackling drills. We'll do drills where you're engaging in a blocker like in space and engage off. You know what I mean? And set leverages a couple times. And a couple times that's what happened too. In that we set some leverages that we need to where our help was coming from, and we both got in the same gap. You know what I mean? Even out wide, you can do that. So you'll do drills like that and get them running, make them step, but still thud and hit and wrap, just like you're tackling.
And then just in terms of getting the plays in on Saturday, I know that you had the one drive where you had to call timeout twice, a couple false starts. Did you notice, was there any common thread in terms of the communication or the confusion?
No, they just, getting the signal, they missed signals sometimes on the road, just didn't see it, didn't get it clean, and got to get the call. You know what I'm saying? And we got to get it in cleaner from the sideline, and they got to see it and recognize it and get it called and get going. It's like I say, sometimes you're on the road, those things, on those first road games, it's not an excuse because you're going to play on the road all year long, but sometimes you get in the comfort zone, and where you're going. And we got, first drive, we had a couple timeouts, you're exactly right.
Front row on the left, Cease.
Jimbo, since every team's different, how's this team going to be able to handle the noise outside? You always talk about the noise outside.
Well, I hope they clutter. I hope they eliminate it and clutter. Like I say, turn social media off. And I don't mean that as I always do. And I think you have to. And it's no offense whether you're doing. I think you should turn it off whether you do well or do good or poorly. Don't listen to any of it because nothing matters except what you do. But that's not the world. And hopefully they can do that. And we tell them that and do it. And hopefully they'll be able to deal with it. But I'm sure some will read it. That's just the world we're in.
Seemed like your opener, your cornerbacks played well. How'd you grade?
I'm sorry?
Your cornerbacks. It seemed like the first game they played well. How did you grade them against Miami?
No, we gave up a couple big plays. Chappelle was pretty good in the game. I thought Chappelle played well in the game. Made some good plays, played well. We got beat on a double move and got an interference on the other. And a couple guys gave up plays in one-on-one situations. And we got to do a better job of technique and staying in there and just not panicking and playing the ball at the point of attack. You know what I mean? Don't play through the guy, play through the arms and not grab or touch. But also we got to get a little more pressure to make that ball come out a little quicker where you're not guarding it quite as long. It's a combination.
Third row on the left, Carter, and then Battalion right next to him.
On the pressure, when you guys aren't getting as much, does it change what you like? Does it make you want to change what you're doing, or is it a matter of just executing better?
It'll change what you're doing. You either bring a pressure, you guys can rush or not. And then you change coverages, you'll change stunts, you'll change blitzes. There's different ways to what you're doing and how you're doing it. And changing it in what way? What do you mean?
Just sending more looks or...
Yeah, you'll try to create
up.
more. Maybe this week, try to create more looks, try to create some more one-on-ones or get different guys one-on-one or try to find the guy on off, where you can expose. But what they did a good job of in the game, I'll give them credit with, they slid and had some 7-man and some bump protections and then had us in man coverage at the times, and did a good job of it at the time.
And then on DJ Durkin, when his defense, when everything's working really well and what you've seen in this past, what do you think it should look like when it's doing well? Like what What are the strengths of his defenses, you think?
I mean, I think it's a very sound. We play the run well. You can play the pass, play both run and pass well. And guys execute and be able to put pressure on what they do. I mean, he knows football. He knows football very well. He knows as much football as anybody. He does a really good job. We just got to execute, and we got to get the calls and put them in the right thing, get the right matchups for our guys on them.
What would you say are the biggest reasons why it just hasn't worked so far in most games?
We just haven't played as well. And we got to get the matchups, and we got to help them offensively, keeping all. They had a couple critical turnovers we could have gotten back. We gave up a kickoff return in that game. Also, that's 7 points that, it changed momentum of the game and what we did. And if we could have maybe got back ahead, we were ahead. And then once we could have got maybe that score and got back ahead and kept pressure off of them, kept them off the field, you're keeping the ball yourself. I mean, there's tons of things you can do with your special teams and offense and, different things they'll do.
Staying on left side of the battalion.
Can you talk about your experience with Coach Bowden and kind of some themes of teams that he's coached in the past?
Brilliant guy. I mean, like I said, in 1993, probably did one of the best coaching jobs in college football history. I mean, they ended up winning 20 in a row for a year and a half almost. But what he did there, very smart guy. Was my coach personally. Tremendous guy, loved ball, tremendous competitor, built programs, did everything he did. One of the few guys that ever got a law degree while he was a GA. Anybody graduated law school while he was GAing, which is an amazing. Studied in Oxford, England, over in England. I mean, and very smart guy. Loved ball, coached, and was very close with him. Learned a ton of offense. Treated me like family. That's why I got in coaching. One of the reasons I wanted to coach, and he gave me the opportunity. And him and his father and brothers all treated me like family. And like I say, I used to stay at their house, stay at Bobby's house when I was a young kid as a player, as a thing, and got me involved in how to do things and the way to do things. And a lot of the things came from that Bowden family and that tree. I mean, he meant the world to me and was very close, and I have nothing but pure respect for him.
And is there anything in particular you hope to emphasize amongst the team before SEC play begins?
Yeah, just our consistency, getting back to practicing well, playing well, play well this week so we can go into conference play and play well when we get there, and just play with consistency. Like I say, you're a few plays away again, like you always are. There are inches you got to find, and there's some inches in those plays we got to get to, and we got to make sure we're finding them in every aspect and not giving them up.
Okay, Brent, down front, you wrap us up.
38 years ago or so, when you're taking signals from Terry Bowden, would you have ever envisioned that you would then one day be?
No.
I mean, I know you coach for him as well, but also coaching against him in that
No,
situation.
I mean, that does seem crazy. I mean, it shows you how long we all been in the business and how old we're getting. But, you just back then, you would have coached. I wanted to play and knew I wanted to coach, and I would have coached for nickels and dimes, which I was at the time. That's why we got in. We loved coaching. He did too. He was a guy who truly loved football and coaching, and I played that way, and that's why we always got along. I think we loved it and did it for peanuts. I mean, and still would have done it for peanuts and still be doing it for peanuts today. I mean, we got fortunate to have success, but no, I never dreamed that in a million years. I mean, especially where we came from, what we did. I've been very blessed, and he was too.
All right, so some of the old timers here will remember a mysteriously wet field at Texas in '98 for A&M, and.
Really?
So, yeah, when you mentioned maybe we had the wrong cleats, and I don't know how that works. Do y'all bring extra pairs?
Oh, we do that
so
stuff.
So much
and
seems on the line.
Wouldn't have ever thought about it. Yeah, they have.
And it rained. I'm not saying they wet the field or anything. It rained.
No. We have shoes. I mean, stuff like that. We have multitudes of equipment and stuff. They can make longer, shorter, different shoes, all kind of stuff every week. They bring it all the time.
Okay, so they bring them all, but y'all didn't switch to that?
They didn't need them. I mean, here's the only time he really slipped. I mean, what's his name? Foot slipped once or twice on a throw, but it never affected the game. There wasn't enough there to affect the game. I mean, that one play it did. I just happened to be a turnover when we were cutting and when we stuck it. But it wasn't like the field was treacherous or 38 guys were falling down every 2 plays or something. I mean, so there wasn't nothing there to